Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Costello. I'm on the programming team here at HIFF, and it is my honor to be here with 4 of the 5 winners of this year's University Short Film Showcase. Thank you all so much for joining us, and congratulations to you all. I'm going to start this Q&A off with heading south. So, Yuan, the incredible performances that you elicited from your cast of mostly first-time non-professional actors is a real testament to your strength as a director. And I'd love to hear more about your process of working with this group, particularly your young lead, who is just exquisite in this film.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, everyone. So in my short film, I have like 6 actors. Half of them are non-actors, especially the leading actress, who was 8 years old when we were shooting. And I was planning to audition and find someone who could ride a horse and acting at the same time. But after about 1 month, I find it's impossible. That's how I take a risk to cast my friend's daughter, who owned the grassland on the horse. And luckily, it turns out her daughter could ride pretty well, but she never acted before. I decided to do some acting games with her before the shooting. We will meet frequently and that talk, play games, let her to know about me. And then we will play with the camera to let her be more relaxed before shooting. So luckily, she is well prepared. I think I'm happy with her performance. And in terms of other actors, especially those uncles, the father's friends, one of them are a horse trainer who is my friend, came to help us as one of the uncles. And then another one is the assistant director I met on set on the other project before. But luckily, all of the male actors, they are kind of familiar with the drinking atmosphere. I guess they drink a lot before, so everybody kind of enjoyed the shooting very well. I have to stop them sometimes to just be calm a little bit because
I got a little bit too into the method acting. It sounds like.
Yeah, but I was very nervous before the shooting, so we did a lot of rehearsal with them. Even though they are an actor, I insist we should rehearse and then do storyboard based on their performances, then adjust my camera position. So on set, I think we have already did it before, so I'm sure what I want to get. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. Moving on to Parachute. Kath, the dynamics at play in your film are just so wonderfully complex. In the span of only 14 minutes, you somehow take all of these elements of power and class and social and language barriers, integration, bullying, and you just layer them all together with so much nuance. But correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that this film was inspired by true events. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. Thanks so much for your kind words about the film. It was a lot to pack into 14 minutes, and it always makes it hard to sum up in a log line as well, because there's just so much going on in this movie. But it was inspired by a true story. So there's basically a group of immigrants known as parachute kids, I guess you could call them in mainstream. Journalists have dubbed this group of immigrants parachute kids, but it applies to anyone who comes here from Asia, predominantly China, in high school or junior high, alone, with the hope of getting into a great American university. And so a lot of these kids, their parents are paying top dollar for them to come here to the States, stay with the host family, and get a strong American education. And there's a whole industry that's been sort of built up to support these kids in terms of like travel agents, schools that cater to parachute kids, host family networks, that sort of thing. And there was a case in LA a few years ago where one of the schools where a number of these kids were being sent to was basically a scam. and there just wasn't great teaching, there wasn't great facilities. It was like a trailer in the back of a parking lot at some strip mall, and these kids weren't getting the supervision that they needed or the guidance that they needed to really, you know, make the most of their time here in America and feel supported. And so the kids, some of the kids that were attending this school ended up acting out and attacked one of their classmates. And this made headlines because it was a pretty brutal attack. And all of those young people are now serving time in LA. And so I was really interested in, you know, what the journey was for these young people, and you know, how someone might get to a place where they would feel the need to act out in that way. And I definitely, after reading more about it, could understand, like, they're dealing with so much. They have not only the academic pressure, but they're far away from their families. They don't know anyone in this country. And on top of that, if their school and their teachers and their host families aren't supporting them, you know, what can you expect except young people acting out? So that was the inspiration for this film.
Well, it's very well executed, because your ending is certainly shocking, but it's not surprising, I should say. Like, it feels earned for Wendy's character to act out in this way. And yeah, it's just lovely filmmaking. And moving on now to tape, Yo-Yo, your film is just so lovely. You take these beautiful, subtle, surreal moments and you just effortlessly ground them in the relationship between these two girls and within this very specific setting and community. Though I do understand that shooting a hockey film in Southern California presented some interesting production challenges for you. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, there's a long list. I don't know. I think the trickiest part was really to find the right cast for the film. So I had this, like, I was very optimistic about finding people who can act as well as play ice hockey. And it didn't work out. So then we started looking for actors who could at least skate. And then we also found out that sometimes it happens, actors come in and they tell you that they can do everything, right? So we luckily organized the second round of auditions on ice. And then I realized that actually these great talents could not skate. So then there was another struggle, but we were really lucky because Brittany Giles, who plays the lead role in the film, she had a figure skating background. So we could do so much with her. So everything else, we just like organized stunts. We had a great stunt coordinator. Actually, we had two. So we managed to create the world and sort of portray. It wasn't perfect, just from my point of view. You know, it's always so tricky to, you know, try to create stunts so that they look real. But I think we managed to capture something authentic with playing, and, you know, capture that movement on ice. And also for me, it reflected on the feeling of that young girl in that position, and also maybe the freedom and liberation, how she feels when she can be on ice with her loved one. So yeah,
absolutely.
Then,
I mean, you could have fooled me that you didn't have actors who knew what they were doing on the ice. Had you ever considered rewriting the script a bit to switch it to a sport that's perhaps a little bit more LA or filmmaker friendly?
Yeah, we did. And also, actually, we faced a lot of pressure from our school because, of course, our production coordinators, or faculty members, they were really worried whether we can pull this film off. Because also, I think we had one of the smallest thesis budgets as well. So we were shooting overnights, and, you know, these kids, they're really like very young. I think Brittany was like legal 18. I think she was 17 at the time. But, you know, when you're that age, your body doesn't really want to be awake for that long time overnight. So yeah, I think someone recommended basketball or something. But yeah, I am really happy because I think the element of ice just brings so much to the story, you know, visually as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad you stayed true to your vision with this one.
Thank you.
And for Sonia of Round Zero, your film is just a remarkable experiment in storytelling. The way you took Iceland's complicated relationship with boxing and used it as a means to explore themes of masculinity and vulnerability and just the growing pains of adolescence is just very intelligent. And I particularly loved your confessional fourth wall breaks as they establish this wonderful intimacy between the characters and the audience. And I understand that you immersed yourself within the boxing community in Iceland, and I'm just curious to hear more about how that informed your film.
Yes, everything, I have to say how everything started, because it was quite a coincidence. I was in Reykjavik, and you know, I met this guy that was having like a bruise on his eye and on his cheeks. And you have to understand that, you know, Iceland is a pretty peaceful country, so I was surprised to see a guy like beaten up. Also, he was very nice and such, so I asked him what was his problem, and I was very surprised when he said that he was doing boxing. And I didn't know anything. I didn't even think that boxing in Iceland was a thing. And so I got very interesting. And from this, I started like attending this gym. And you know, I discovered that, you know, there was like this guy, they were like very motivated in going there. It was like creating a family, you know. There was an empathy, a bond among all each other that was impressive. So I understood that basically there was a lot of humanity to investigate. And as I, you know, you see, I'm like a girl. I'm like very far from boxing, and you know, very far from masculinity. But I felt like I could, in the same time, depict in like in a detached way what was going on. Sometimes, you know, it looks like female directors, they just have to talk about female teams, and I feel like this is so wrong in a way. So basically, yeah, like what I found that I wanted to break a lot of like stereotypes about boxing. We sometimes think that, like, you know, these angry guys, they just go there because they're like frustrated and such, and for them was just a way to like feel alive and feel more. And then I also done some research about like Iceland and boxing, and I didn't know that it was like illegal for a long time. It was considered more as something like you could just get injured. There was not seen anything more around it. And this is still seen as something not completely accepted. But behind this, as you said, I investigate, you know, this approach I wanted to have as a direct audience confession is because even if it looks like a fiction, this Round Zero, it's a lot of story with a lot of truth. And I wanted to give like this documentary approach where there is no filter between the characters and the audience. So they just talk directly to them as a confession, and as a direct, you know, a direct speech. Because also what they say, it's actually for real a lot, their life. So yeah. And yeah, of course, I wanted to say, I forgot the beginning, but thank you for this time, and thank you for inviting all of us.
Oh, thank you for all being here. We're honored to have your films at the festival, and congratulations on winning the University Short Film Showcase Award. And before we all head off, I know this is a pretty unfair question to ask in a time as uncertain as this one, but I'd love to hear about any upcoming projects that any of you may have that we should be looking out for. We can start with Yuan.
Yeah, right now I'm working on my feature script and my thesis, which is supposed to be shooting this year, but probably we're gonna postpone to next year. And it's a short film related to the feature project. Luckily, I got the Spike Lee production grant for my thesis. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to making it. Thank you.
And yes, thank you. And Yo-Yo?
Well, Tape was actually made as a proof of concept film. So we're working on the script for a feature film. So that's something very exciting. I'm working with our writer Shuhan Fan together. And then the reason why I was like 2 minutes late, I'm so sorry for that, is because I'm directing 10-part crime series here in Finland. So, and we're gonna start shooting next Friday. So everything is very chaotic here.
Well,
So,
thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this recognition. It means so much, so much.
And Kath, how about you?
Yo-Yo, that's just so cool. I'm like, wow, 10-part crime series. That sounds awesome. What a great opportunity. Yeah, I'm working on a couple feature scripts very slowly. And also I have a production company called Border Woman Pictures. And I'm very interested in telling stories from the margins, particularly from women of color, stories that we don't often hear told in the mainstream. And so I have a couple scripts in development, you know, at my company, and always looking for more collaborators too. So if any of you or if anyone in your audience is interested in, you know, making more scripts in that vein, I'd love to be involved in that.
I'll put you all in touch after this.
Great.
And last but not least, Sonia.
Yeah, no, I understood that, you know, with Round Zero, I wanted to investigate more in like this joining of like youth and sport. So basically, I wanted to now explore this combination, but on a female perspective. So basically, and also like with the sport that is more practiced by females, but still implicates this like danger approach and not really accepted by society. So it's gonna have similarities with Round Zero, but of course having female personalities is gonna be, you know, inevitably different.
I can't wait to see all of these. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you to everyone watching at home, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.